All right, CNT125, Chapter 12, last section on backup systems. Backup is a copy of data or program files created for archiving and safekeeping. Yes. When creating backup system, keep in mind, what do you need to back up? What backup methods, and you might use one. You might use some sort of local backup drive as well as cloud. Decide what type of backups will be made regularly, how often are they needed, and a backup schedule and ways to verify these are actually being performed and done regularly. So first, decide what needs to be backed up. On your desktop at home, probably like your documents folder and your videos and pictures folder kind of deal. Those are usually kind of like the really important data on your system. When a company, it might include more. Obviously, user data, application data. I might need the folders that people are saving things into, and then I might even need to start going out further and doing things like, okay, I need to back up my routers, switches, access points, gateways, these kind of configurations, firewall configurations, that way I can return them back in as the need arises. And I might even consider using things like a TFTP server to back up and store and restore configs. That's actually something we're going to do in our lab this week. We're going to save our router and switch configs to a TFTP server so you can see how easy it is. And that is something that can be backed up onto another system or even a cloud system depending on how your network is set up. And then select my backup methods. What am I going to use where? On-site, cloud, etc. Where am I going to do this? And maybe I'm going to do a local here and a cloud backup there, that sort of thing. It's not the time to experiment. You need to kind of verify, maybe use things that are definitely usable, that you can get access to and will work. Verify it's working. Make sure your backups uses data error checking. Verify your backup storage medium provides sufficient capacity as well as room to grow. Be aware of how your backup process affects the system, normal network functioning. You don't want to be backing up at 3 o'clock in the afternoon when everybody's there, but I might want to back up at 10 o'clock at night. Does that affect anything else that's running? That kind of thing. Purchasing decision. Can I get this media and can I get it easily, more of it if I need it, for storage and so forth? How much manual intervention is needed? And then if that training and logging of. Make wise choices for all these and advantages and disadvantages. When storing, recognize that drives can be installed on computers or local network, on a WAN, NAS device, etc. Making sure that I can hook them up where I need to. And then keep your backups secure, including maybe one on-site, one off-site, and maybe one cloud kind of thing. And we used to mention this. It seems like, I'll just take it to the bank and put it in a lockbox or something there. Well, if I have a disaster at 2 a.m. on a Sunday, I can't get to the bank and get that out. So I need to really think through, where are these? I want to store them off-site, but where are they that I can get to them easily? One example I like to use is, Hack has multiple campuses. Maybe the main backups are done in Harrisburg and stored there, and the second copy is stored in Gettysburg or something. I can get to it pretty quickly, but it's out of the region in case there is a fire outage or some sort of disaster in the Harrisburg area. That's the kind of thing that you're thinking of when I'm storing. Then I need to decide what type of backup will be done. Full, incremental, differential backup, and there's usually a sequence that gets done. Maybe this one gets done this day, this one gets done the next day, and by the end of the week I do the full and I store that. That kind of thing. Those are the things that you're thinking about. How often are they needed? Maybe after every day, maybe partway through the day, end of the day. And then develop a schedule for that. And there is even guides for doing this. There's a grandfather, father, son backup rotation that was kind of the guide for quite a while. I do my incrementals each day, end of the week I do a full, and then store it offsite kind of deal. And then I would need to make sure I have enough of these media, if I'm doing tape or whatever it is, enough of these media to handle each day, get them labeled, get them stored, etc. Verify backups are being performed. There needs to be a log and make sure that's getting done, and then where things are being stored. And this is where they mentioned the 3-2-1-1 rule. How backup runs. So keep at least 3 complete copies. Save backups on at least 2 different media. Store 1 backup copy off-site, and ensure that at least 1 backup copy is stored offline. Offline because if the virus affected the one copy, the one that's offline, it should not have affected it because it should not have touched it yet. And there you can restore and maybe wipe out what was there. That kind of idea. And that's what they're showing with this kind of graphic here. And then they say contingency planning, recovery time objective, and recovery point objective. The time your network can reasonably tolerate an outage, and the amount of historical data you'll need to be able to restore from backup in response to an outage. These would be things that are maybe the guidelines for what you're doing. So there's some backup here at the end of Chapter 12.